All right, well what we have here is the single cutaway Les Paul style of guitar. There's many companies that make what's called a single cutaway guitar, and if you want some interesting things to read up on, you can look at the Gibson lawsuits of the past couple of years where they're sort of going for other guitar companies who have made guitars in a shape so similar to the Gibson Les Paul that there's potential copyright violation. But anyway, enough about the geek side. So what we have going here is a single cutaway electric guitar, and you'll notice with this guitar that it's two pieces of wood that are joined right here. It's such a fine job you can barely see it. This is a shoulder, this is a waist, this is a bout, B-O-U-T. Goes around the bottom of the guitar to the other waist, and here we have our cutaway. Why do you think a cutaway might be there? Well, if you watch some of the other guitar videos, you'll know. Yeah, the cutaway is there so that your hand can reach up and around the neck to play higher notes, because don't we all want to shred? Don't we all want to play some lead guitar in our lives? Well, this is a fine guitar to do it on. So what we have here is the tail piece. We're just going to bring this up closer for you. This is the tail piece of the guitar that holds the strings in place. And you notice the strings have to have a ball on the end, or else they'd slip right out of that tail piece, wouldn't they? And then you've got the bridge, which is this black structure here, and you've got your saddles, which are the small sort of blade looking things holding the strings in place and suspended up off of that bridge. Then you have the pickups that I'll talk about in a minute. Pickups, plastic pickup housing, you see, they're set into it. Controls, we'll go over that in a second. So your pickups are called humbuckers on this guitar. You'll notice on this guitar there's two pickups that are just neighbors here so close, and two pickups that are neighbors here so close. Well, so they're coils, right? So this isn't really two pickups, although you can clearly see one black, one red. It is one pickup that is a double coil called a humbucker. Okay, so as we know, there are little magnets inside the pickups that do just that. They pick up the tone of the vibration, the motion, and the energy from the vibrating steel string, and they transfer it down through the electronics housing where you are like the controller, and it comes right out the jack of the guitar where your lead cable is plugged in, going to your amplifier. What can you do with your pickup controls? Well, for now we're just going to talk a little bit about it, but we've got a volume for this one and a volume knob for this one. Then you have a tone knob to color the tone for this one, and a tone knob to color the tone for this one. It's that simple. A lot of people never fool with their tone knobs, but I guarantee you some of the most classic recordings you've heard of guitar have been from people who have gotten quite creative with their tone knobs. Eddie Van Halen, Les Paul, Chet Atkins, Eric Clapton, the list goes on. This is the guitar's neck, as you see here. This is the neck. And the thing that, this area of wood that we press the strings down on is called the fretboard. Typically a different kind of wood, sometimes a different kind of wood than the neck. And they're glued together. Then you have these dots. These are fret inlay markers. You've got the nut right here. The string, it's black, it's kind of hard to see, but the strings are held in place here between the nut and the saddles or the bridge. So your tone is produced, that pitch is produced by how tight or loose the string is stretched over these. And that comes down to your tuning keys. So let's, big technical video equipment here as you can see. But hey, the information is what's important, right? We've got the tuning keys. String 6, string 5, string 4, string 3, string 2, string 1. These are the keys and they turn. to increase or decrease the tension or the pitch of the string. More tension, higher pitch. Less tension, lower pitch. It's very simple. These are the posts. These stick up vertically from the guitar's head. This is the head. Okay, so that's a post, and the string kind of winds through that post nice and securely. And there's different techniques for winding a string around a post, but by and large it is the pressure, the coiling of that string around the post. How many turnings or windings of that string have you got? Well, my camera might pick it up. I've got about 4 windings around the post here. We all have our tips and tricks to keep our guitar in tune. So then we have this angle. So I'm going to hold the guitar mostly level. Anything odd stand out to you there? Yeah, so look at the head of the guitar and just look at the angle with which that head kicks back. I wouldn't want to drop this guitar on its back, because look what's going to happen. This head is going to snap right off. So these guitars, this Gibson Les Paul style, or the Gibson SG style, which I no longer have, are very susceptible and prone to breaks. Now you've got your generic kind, like Epiphone, that's less susceptible to headstock snaps because the angle is less. As a matter of fact, a lot of people debate about this because we don't have anything better to do in our lives as guitarists, but people are always debating the quality of the Epiphone guitar, which at one time was like a generic Gibson. It kind of still is, but they've really become a wonderful brand all of their own. They're still related to the Gibson Guitar Company. So you can go out and buy the highest end Epiphone Les Paul. They're absolutely stunning guitars, like the LTD, like the limited edition or the custom shop Epiphones. They're not cheap. You know, now with inflation, I mean, they're going to be $800 to $1,000 for a really, really nice limited edition Epiphone. It's going to be made overseas, Korea, China. Epiphone's a little cagey about talking about where the guitars are particularly made. But I have to tell you that the Epiphone guitar headstock angle is quite less than this headstock angle. So I've always found my Epiphone guitars, once I've done a little work on the nut here, to hold their tuning amazingly well, because that headstock is not at such an extreme breakback, see? So that breakback causes quite a problem in trying to tune the strings that are stretched the furthest. Well, who's stretched the furthest? Well, clearly this string and this string. Well, this string here is pretty thick, and this string here is thinner. And so this string here tends to be, it's the G string, and it tends to be the problem with tuning on the Gibson SG and the Gibson Les Paul. You buy a nice Epiphone, higher end Epiphone, and that tuning issue doesn't really exist because that headstock break angle isn't as bad. Isn't as extreme, I should say. But many people love Gibson and the quality and the build so much that what they'll do is they'll have work done on their nut to prevent any kind of problems or traffic jams in the tuning between these, in the slots of the nut here, and they'll go and they'll buy tuners that lock so the string can't slip out of tune. They love their Gibson Les Pauls, as do I. But I've been fortunate enough to own some nice Epiphones too, and wow, I really miss some of those. So I wish they weren't gone, but that's okay. I'm a lucky guy. So that, my friends, is the single cutaway Les Paul style. Oh, and this little flipper switch here selects which of these pickups you'd like to produce your tone. Neck, bridge, or in the middle you've got a blender of the two. Volume, volume, tone, tone. All right, my friends, that wraps up our identifying the parts of the Les Paul style guitar. Hit me with comments or questions. I try to cover as much as I can in as short amount of time as possible, and I do hope you enjoy the content. Thank you.